Hey, how you doing? This is Michael Thompson, coming all the way from Medellin, Colombia, this video. I have a new site with my friend Andy. We called it lightenupandshoot.blogspot.com, lightenupandshoot.blogspot.com. I think I said that right. And I'm going to do a 5-part series on lighting, because I know a lot of people have asked the question, what kind of gear do you use? Can you go over some techniques? Anything, how do you get these pictures? So the first thing that we're going to do today is talk about what flashes I use, triggers, modifiers. Talk about buying used equipment, what gear do you need to buy, how to save some money, a bunch of money actually, and talk about the rest of the series, the technical side of things. I learned this from reading the Strobus columns, and also from buying Zach Arias' DVD from his OneLightWorkshop.com. I learned a ton from him. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the type of flashes that I use. I don't mind buying used flashes. I think as long as you buy a flash that you can put in manual mode, that's the way I shoot. Everything is manual. I don't use fancy TTL or any kind of computers that talk to one another. I use manual mode, and I think when you shoot manual, your shots will be more consistent from shot to shot to shot. So the first thing we'll do is I will show you the Nikon light that I bought used. This is an SB28 Nikon Speedlight that was probably built in the 80s or early 90s, I think, and you can pick these things up for around $100 or between $100 and $125 on Amazon or Craigslist or eBay or one of those places. So that's what I start with, and then I use for radio triggers. I experimented first with those really $30 or $40 triggers. I think they're called eBay triggers. I personally found them to be very inconsistent, or I had my light up on a stand with an umbrella and the wind blew over and they fell on the ground and they exploded. So I wound up buying a second set and they exploded too, after a couple of days. So I decided to go ahead and buy some decent flashes, and I found the SB28s. They're rugged, they're tough. I like them. The other thing I like about them is they have a PC port, meaning I don't have to have a hot shoe adapter to plug in for my radio triggers. I actually bought this used on B&H for $99. Anyway, so here's my SB28. I use for triggers, I use the Cybersinks. I'm going to put a link on the site so you can know where to go. I think these are on alienbees.com, but you can probably buy them other places. But they don't really have a way to attach them to the flashes, so I just put some Velcro on top, or sometimes I put it on the side of the Speedlight. So I just attach it like this and get out your cable. Simply plug it in. This is why I love the old SBs, is that you got a PC port. Just plug it right in there. I found that the connection to be a little loose, so I use a piece of gaffer tape that I have sitting right there, and that seems to secure it. That way it fires every time. Also, my recommendation would be to buy extra cables when you do buy a set of either Pocket Wizards or whatever, or Cybersinks or whatever transmitter. Buy extra cables because they do go bad on you. I mean, this is a cheap piece of cable, wire, and they tend to break right here at the joints. So have extra ones. So as far as cost is concerned, I was online looking. An SB900 new was about $465. You can get a used SB800 for $389. So if you look at the cost here, this entire setup, around $120, $110 for a Speedlight, $130 for a set of Cybersinks, and look at the cost there. Now we're talking $240. I mean, that's half of what a new SB900 or a new Canon Speedlight is going to cost you. So if you're new and starting out to this, you can literally buy an entire setup with a light stand that probably costs $50–60. A light modifier, I recommend a 60-inch umbrella to start with, a set of Cybersinks, that's what I like to use, and one of these old SBs if you can find one, or any used flash for that matter that you can put in manual mode. It really doesn't matter what it is or what brand it is. As long as that you can shoot in manual mode and manipulate the power settings, or the flash power settings, then you're good to go. So an entire setup is costing less than what a new flash is going to cost. And I don't use the TTL mode. I don't find it useful. I actually think it's better to shoot manual mode. You know what's happening in the camera. You have a better understanding of the shutter speed and the aperture. You're using your brain. And then once you get your subject properly exposed, your shots are going to be consistent from shot to shot to shot to shot because you're in a manual mode. So we'll talk more about that in this next series. But that's the introduction. And the next one we're going to be talking about is the different variables of exposure and light. So it's going to be fun.